Welcome to the 3 Point Play podcast, home of everything sports, fantasy betting, and reality. I am Lewis Standridge, and joining me as always on the podcast, now in video form, Kyle Verska.
It's a big step, Lewis. It's been years in the making. We're finally able to do video.
Yeah.
We're pivoting to video 4 years after you're supposed to pivot to video.
Better late than ever. So, of course, if you're not familiar, on all of our pods during Pigskin Pick'em season, we go through pick by pick, give why we're picking particular games a certain way, and of course, hopefully give out winners. And anything else that you think bears explaining, it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, winners is a strong word for what we're going to do here. I think we can both agree on that, but we are going to certainly try to do things to make people money. That's the entire point.
Yeah. Well, the fun thing about week one is there's probably as much value as you're going to get all season because these lines have been up 6 weeks plus. And two, we don't have a week prior to complain about bad beats. So this is...
What are you trying to say? Are you trying to say that I take up way too much time doing that?
I mean,
that's what it felt like.
It's a big part of the week-to-week in-season chatter. But, I mean, who hasn't dabbled in Pick'em and complained about a bad beat? So this is probably the cheeriest we'll be, and then the rest of the weeks will be filled with expletives and depression and bitching about bad beats and whatnot. But for the most part, hope to pick some winners. If you can see my screen here, I've got my ESPN Pigskin Pick'em pulled up. This is the closest and most legal way for most people to play the spreads on a free basis. And but we'll be there soon, Kyle. Right? It's not legal in Oklahoma where you're at.
Yes, it is not. However, it should be, because we have these nice native casinos, and it would just be a moneymaker for everybody. So I don't know why that doesn't currently exist. It's pretty maddening, if you ask me. It'd be a great way for both the state and the tribes to make money, but neither has shown interest yet.
Yeah, it's a little bizarre, but
would it get you to Oklahoma more if it was legal?
Probably, but Colorado is legal, and that's about a 45-minute flight. An hour flight from Austin. So.
Yeah, but you could just, I forget you're not in Dallas, so it's like a 4.5 hour drive probably to WinStar.
Yeah. It would be faster for me to drive to the airport and fly to Colorado.
I don't know. You got to deal with security and all that.
That takes a problem. 15 minutes on a good day.
You just have TSA violating your Fourth Amendment rights. It's a problem.
Okay. I'm not gonna. It's too easy to dive into this. And the fact that we've managed to go this long and not talk about Sam Bradford is a victory. So let's get into the real victories and kick it off with our own Dallas Cowboys.
This will not be a victory. Decidedly not be a victory.
Dallas Cowboys going into week one as 6.5-point underdogs against Tampa Bay Buccaneers. As you can see here, they even have the money line posted -280, 70% of the picks on Tampa Bay. I'm sure this has been bet up to -8 in a lot of books, so you can tell just even more actual gambling money is coming in on Tampa Bay and driven that lineup. Where do you stand on this game?
Well, before we get into this, as I so often do, I like to filibuster before we actually make a pick here.
Why not?
I don't like this new format for Pigskin Pick'em. It's much more difficult to see what has been picked, which is going to make our locks and dogs of 3.5 or more, spoilers to find, since we're gonna have to scroll through all these to see what's what instead of just the nice list that we had. What are your thoughts on the new layout?
Yeah, it's a little unnecessarily too much.
It's obtuse, right?
Yeah, just simplify it.
Okay, so back to Thursday night game. Look, no high hopes here. Dak Prescott's barely practiced with the first team. We have zero idea what the Dallas Cowboys defense is going to look like. If this was 7.5 or 8 like it is now, I would certainly think about taking the Cowboys, but I don't know how they're going to stay within 7 points of what is, as we kick off, the best team in the NFC, and there are just question marks up and down in the Cowboys.
Absolutely. I'm on Tampa Bay. I would even take it up to 8 because I don't think they get middle.
I would at least think about it if it was 8, not 6.5.
It really, especially, the gut feeling I have about Tampa Bay coming into the season, the fact they're returning all the starters. If you listen to our audio podcast or preview of the NFC, it just feels like they're as hungry as we've ever seen a returning champion. And having that chip on their shoulder, which a lot of defending champions just don't have, and they'll come out flat the first month of the season. I don't fear that with Tampa Bay. I think they're going to come out. They're not going to lose a step. The fact that they return all their starters means that they should be, running on all cylinders, whereas the Cowboys, Dak hasn't practiced for, 2/3 of training camp?
Yeah.
The offensive line still has question marks. The defense is still probably terrible. Maybe a little bit more of a pass rush, and Micah Parsons has looked good, but is that going to matter? And really the thing is that Tampa Bay can run on you. Well, they can run on some teams. That's probably, I would say, the one half weakness that they have, but with the Cowboys, they can do either. And so I really think they're going to run it up. This is like a 35-7 game to me.
I don't think the Cowboys will just be held to 7 points. I mean, it might be 35-7 if the Buccaneers starters are still in, but I don't know who or how the Cowboys are going to guard any of the Buccaneers pass catchers. That's the biggest problem for me with the Cowboys defense entering the season, is who is guarding any receiver out there. So when you all of a sudden you're just thrown in with a team that has 4 or 5 legitimate pass catchers, I don't know how the Cowboys are going to slow them down. Yeah. That line is really good. The Cowboys couldn't get after the passer last year. A lot to prove for the Cowboys at the beginning of this year, but I don't think this game is going to make them look any better.
The last thing I'll say is this has a little bit of the feeling like Tampa Bay comes out and they play with some of their new toys, like Giovanni Bernard, or perhaps...
well, the less Giovanni Bernard they play, the better. That's just
it's going to be that's my point, though. It's going to be such a luxury. It's going to be the
O.J. Howard
The
game.
narrative after the game is going to be like, Tampa Bay's back. Plus, look what they've done, what they can do now with O.J. Howard and Giovanni Bernard. Guaranteed, they're going to come out and it's like, oh wow, this team's even better than last year. Which there's probably some legitimacy to that, but yeah, that's what it feels like.
Over under like 35% of snaps for Gronk in this game.
Under.
Got to be, right?
I mean, was it Bill Simmons always says you don't take the Ferrari out of the garage all the time? Something like
plus that Ferrari's now, 30 some odd years old. He's not the 27-year-old Ferrari. It's just going to be interesting to see exactly how much he plays in the regular season this year.
It's like the car in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. It just sits up there in a museum.
And then you throw it in reverse, try to take the miles off?
Yeah.
Is that possible in football?
Something like that. Next game up, Sunday early afternoon, early slate. I was reading this off, like, who will win this matchup? It's so stupid. Philadelphia Eagles facing off against the Atlanta Falcons. Falcons here -3.5 home favorites. Looks like it's about even on percentage picks from the public, and I don't think this line has moved that much. So I don't know if people really don't care, or if many really sharps don't see any value in this number. But for me, I'm sorry. I'm taking.
No, I was gonna say it's probably the latter, that it's 3.5. Sharps aren't a lot of fun, or aren't really keen on taking a favorite that's more than 3 if they're not an actual good team.
Yeah, I mean, what is it? Typically, the worst 4 games on the slate will be the worst bet because the public doesn't care. Sharps barely care, so you just don't get a lot of action, maybe decisively. I'm leaning on the Eagles here. I initially took the Falcons thinking that they're going to torch that Eagles secondary, and then I realized as training camp was going along and seeing preseason, Arthur Smith may be an offensive genius, but this offensive line looks like it might be bottom five. It might be a complete dumpster fire. So I think the Eagles very much will be able to keep up with the Falcons. We don't know if the Falcons' defense has improved at all. They will probably still be a bottom 10 unit in the league. And considering that the Eagles were feisty once, Hurts took over, I would not be surprised if this is the Eagles team more akin to what we've seen in years past, where it's a more respectable defense, average on offense. Jalen Hurts will run. Miles Sanders will run a little bit. They'll do just enough and be able to do just enough because the Falcons' defense is terrible. I feel like this is a 24-21 game.
We've talked a lot on this podcast about always bet Ryan Fitzpatrick going into week one. Just that's kind of
I forgot about
a mantra we have on this podcast. Well, I'm going to roll that over to bet the Falcons in week one this year.
How is that?
Because I really think Arthur Smith is out to show how much he can improve this Falcons offense. And I have zero faith in the Eagles are going to be able to do anything well. I think this is I think we both agree that the Eagles are at best headed toward third in their division. They're going to be duking it out with the Giants for fourth, and they're probably the favorite to finish last right now. And the Falcons, I would say that the number 2 spot in the NFC South is wide open. I mean, I know I certainly like the Saints more than you do. But if it's not going to be the Saints, it's most likely going to be the Falcons, unless you want to hitch your wagon to Sam Darnold. Count me out on that one. So I think this is going to be a sort of like, hey, this is a new Falcons team. We're going to come out. We're going to kick some ass here. And I just don't think the Eagles – I mean, everybody wants to talk up Jalen Hurts, and you go back and you look at what he did in I think those 4 or 5 games he started, and it was nothing special whatsoever. And I don't think the Eagles are any better this year.
Yeah. Okay. Well, not surprising. You could talk me in either way. I think just having the hook on the 3.5 is a big deal.
I get
to
it.
me. And the fact that the Falcons just constantly disappoint, it's that it would be so on brand for the Falcons to be up all game and then just give up that.
Well, there was a great joke on Twitter today. I think it was Bill Barnwell. There's a glitch in Madden 22 that's turning wins into losses, and he just called it the Falcons glitch.
Yeah, very on brand.
They can't possibly be as unlucky as they were last year.
No. Well, I mean, it's the thing, like moving on from Phillip Rivers to Justin Herbert. You shake off a little bit of that stink.
Fair.
It stayed behind with Anthony Lynn, but the Falcons still have Matt Ryan, so it's almost the inverse.
All right.
You shake half of it off. Next game up, the Pittsburgh Steelers on the road to face Buffalo Bills. 6.5-point favorites are the Bills at home. Of course, looks like Steelers, Big Ben, and Najee Harris making his debut. Who do you like in this one?
I like the Steelers. The Bills really had a problem blowing teams out last year. They won a whole bunch of games between 6 and 8 points, and then they crushed their final 3 games. The Dolphins laid down in Week 17. The Patriots were out in Week 16. I don't remember who they played in Week 15, but other than those 3 wins, their other 10 wins, so many of them were between 6 and 8 points. They just seem to sort of have a problem putting teams away. And then conversely, as maddening as the Steelers can be, and as they have been the last couple years, they're not a team or franchise prone to just getting blown out. They really they seem to be in most games. This is a total just traditional franchise pick here. I do think the Bills are the better team, but I really like the Steelers getting 6.5, especially because part of the Bills' issues last year were getting to the passer, And even though the Steelers are completely rebuilding that offensive line, I want to see the Bills have a tenacious pass rush before I'm going to say it's happening.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a lot of my pick in agreement with what you're saying, and then probably I'd say 15% of it is just a gut feel that our impressions in the offseason are really what go into a lot of these lines, because Vegas isn't necessarily just putting lines out that the model says. It's like, okay, a lot of what goes into that is what the public perception is, because that's where the public's going to come in on the money. And I think there's a lot of value in the Steelers, because the last time we saw the Bills, they were in the AFC Championship game. They may have lost, but nobody's really going to blame them for losing to the Chiefs. Whereas the Steelers were pretty much a dumpster fire and completely embarrassingly knocked out of the AFC playoffs. So knowing that they now have a stud running back, they've come back with a new offensive coordinator who should be 10 times more competent, and the offensive line could not probably be any worse. If anything, I've heard really good things about the pieces that they've got now. So I think there's a ton of value on the Steelers here, and I agree with you. I just don't see them getting blown out. I'm not so sure where TJ Watt is on his contract situation. Do you know anything about that?
I do not. I would assume that that's going to happen at some point. I mean, you can't let that guy go. So,
right. Well, assuming he gets suited up for week 1, that solidifies this pick. Next game up, the Minnesota Vikings on the road to face the Cincinnati Bengals. Bengals here plus 3.5 home underdogs. And I don't know if there's really a public positive perception on either team coming into this game, but if anything, the Burrow shakiness news from weeks ago versus the Vikings struggles with COVID and Irv Smith being out for the season now, it may or may not have balanced out. I'm going to go with the Bengals here, plus 3.5. I think the defense will be slightly better. And really the thing for me is that the Vikings, what do they excel at? And that's being able to get the ball downfield, notably to Justin Jefferson. Bengals, one of the few strengths they have on defense is their safety position. So I think they'll be able to limit those kind of deep throws. And on the opposite side, I'm not so sure the Vikings defense, and I've said this many times before, is going to be a top 5 unit that everybody is saying it's been transformed into since what we've seen last year. The thing is, the secondary still might be pretty awful. And if that's the case, despite what we've heard with Jamar Chase's drops and Burrow's, jumpiness, I wouldn't be shocked if they come in here and completely flip the narrative and just throw all over the Vikings. I mean, we saw the Vikings get off to a terrible, terrible start last year. Why can't the Bengals, at home just completely pull the upset?
Yeah, this is a pure number play for me. This is one that I would absolutely like to get in on the over. This could be the highest scoring game of the week.
Set at 48.
Yeah, that seems real low to me.
What are you looking at? 35-31?
Yeah, I'm thinking both teams get to 28. So
that's high.
I love the over on this game, but I'm going to take the Bengals. I think it's going to be a shootout, and I'm with you that the Vikings they're a complete mess right now, and it's going to be if they come out and play well, all credit to them, but I don't know how they're going to be able to do that.
Yeah.
With everything they've got going on.
Yeah, we'll get the blame game going on Kirk Cousins post narrative. Next game up, the one I've been waiting for here. San Francisco 49ers.
Been teasing it for a month.
On the road to face the Detroit Lions. Lions plus 7.5 home underdogs. Currently 28% of the picks on them. One thing I want to preface what I get into and really what's driving my decision here. Every week 1, and for the most part every week in general, there's some decent sized upset. There's some parlay buster where there's just a massive amount of money on 3 or 4 teams to win, huge favorites, and just one of those 3 or 4 just doesn't come through. And I'm looking at this slate. Could be the Steelers. Definitely, from everything we've talked about, would not shock me if they pulled off the win in Week 1. But really, for me, the most... you look back to Week 1 last year. Jacksonville Jaguars upsetting...
I was about to bring that up. Is this the Jaguars?
This is very much the Jaguars pick. You look at the year before that. I don't know if you remember 2019, because 2020 was 20 years, for all of us. Tennessee Titans going on the road to the Cleveland Browns. Browns favored by 5.5. I think that was their first hyped up year.
Oh, that was the Mariota beat them. Yeah.
Really put the smackdown on the Browns. Beat them by about 40. So every week, especially Week 1, you can probably go back years back, there's a pretty decent sized upset. And on top of the Steelers, I'm going to hitch my wagon to the Detroit Lions here. There's no reason anybody would have any sort of confidence that the Detroit Lions are going to win this game. And this is not only a pick for the spread, this is a pick for the upset. And a lot of it is, I think it would be very comical to add on to the Trey Lance narrative that we come out of this game with the Lions victory, and that train is running full steam to dethrone Jimmy Garoppolo. You can just see all around the horn, PTI, all the talk shows come Monday morning. How much longer is Jimmy G going to have? And, of course, he'll probably go on to have a great week, too. But a Week 1 upset with Dan Campbell's knee-biting Lions, I'll take it.
Okay, so you're locking the Lions then?
Locking the Lions.
Oh, my. I love it.
And let me add some actual analysis. I actually think the defense will be passable, at least initially, because they've got that Dan Campbell tenacity, and the 49ers offense, sometimes it struggles. And I think a lot of that is Jimmy G's limitations.
Okay, so I can't believe I'm doing this. I'm also going to take the Lions as a...
yes.
Again, it's a pure number play here. I don't want... There's so much strangeness going on with the Niners. Everybody's just expecting them to be as good as they were in 2019, just automatically back to it. And
Super Bowl contenders.
Yeah. And I think we're just assuming way too much.
Right.
And the NFL, assumptions go to die in the NFL. I don't think the Niners have a lot of talent, but there's just so many question marks that they have to prove themselves against. One is health. They just had the year from hell in terms of health last year. And they lost a whole lot off of that defense. So I'm going to take the Lions here too. It's going to be just one of those things where the Lions play well above their heads in Week 1, and then we never hear from them again.
Do you want to know, just to back up my narrative, the top 4 teams that have the money line bet in their favor?
This week?
Week 1, yeah.
Okay, so it's the Niners.
Yeah, they're third.
They're third. I need to. Well, I don't know if I can find a schedule that doesn't have a point total. I don't know the entire schedule, so go ahead and just say it.
I forget. Sometimes you don't make your picks until.
I'm making my picks live. That's how I do this.
Okay. I'll just, for the sake of speeding things up.
Yeah.
The 4th favorite, 86% of the money on the Carolina Panthers over the Jets. San Francisco is third, 89%. Currently second, Baltimore, 90% of the money. That seems, we'll get to that one. That seems like a trap. Number 1, Kansas City Chiefs, 95% of the money over the Browns. Surprising.
That is.
It seems like the Browns, given the way they put up a fight against the backup.
Yeah, that's too good of a team to be putting 95% of your money on there.
Yeah. All right. So we're both on the Lions. I've got it locked. You don't have any locks yet?
I do not.
Okay. Next game up, the Arizona Cardinals plus 2.5.
And I assume you're taking the Lions as your dog of 3.5 or more to win outright.
That's right. Why not? Just bet it all on one stupid team.
Oh, I love it.
At least Matt Patricia's not there to, do his thing. Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, we have a guy who's talking about biting knees instead.
Yeah, but you can get that. The guys in the locker room, whether that's odd or not, actually can get behind Dan Campbell, whereas not, Matt Patricia is just patronizing everybody.
Okay.
Arizona Cardinals. Look, it'll be good for a few weeks, and then people realize this guy doesn't know what he's doing. Okay, I'm not taking the Lions to win 10 games.
Feels like it.
Arizona Cardinals plus 2.5 on the road to face the Tennessee Titans. Titans, downgraded offensive coordinator. That's really the big thing I've been on all offseason. But of course, Cliff Kingsbury. You're still not. You've never been on the Kingsbury train. Never been a fan ever since he came in.
No. And I think I've been proven out so far. I've been on the right side of that.
Yeah, the first year, not so much, but definitely it looks like he's been figured out a little bit. Personnel moves a little questionable. Who do you like in this game?
Are we getting Ryan Tannehill? Is he playing?
He's the COVID?
Still dealing with COVID. If Ryan Tannehill is playing, I like the Titans. If he's not, I'm probably leaning toward the Cardinals, actually. The Cardinals can't do the same thing that they did last year, which was just run the most vanilla offense you've ever seen and put DeAndre Hopkins in the same spot over and over and over and over.
No, they don't move him at all along the formation.
I know that has to change. So hopefully that changes for the Cardinals and their fans' sake. Right now, with the uncertainty around Ryan Tannehill, I'm going to tentatively pick the Cardinals. Yeah. I like what the Cardinals have done on defense, but if we get Tannehill and he's practicing all next week, I'm probably flipping to the Titans.
If anything, the pick for me for this game is the under. It's the point totals at 51.
Seems high.
I think the thinking is these are two high-octane offenses. The defenses are questionable. Fair. But I also think you look at each offense specifically, and I have big question marks. I have question marks as far as the Titans with the new offensive coordinator. Is he going to be right into a flow like Arthur Smith was? Probably not. Are they going to know how to maximize Julio Jones week one? Probably not. The fact that Tannehill is probably coming off COVID and may still feel effects. We saw, Cam Newton struggle for a long time. If that's, how bad it is for Tannehill. On the flip side, with the Cardinals, I have a lot of faith in the talent of Kyler Murray. It's Cliff Kingsbury, and like you said, not motioning DeAndre Hopkins and putting all these players in positions to maximize what they can do. On top of, if A.J. Green is playing, is this the A.J. Green that was kind of sucky last year? I don't know. The running backs don't really move the needle for me. It just seems like two disappointing offenses, so I'm taking the Titans if Tannehill's playing. If not, I'm on the Cardinals, and I'll take the under as well as a bonus, as a treat.
A little taste?
Just a little taste.
Little extra sprinkle on there?
Yeah, for sure. Next game up, the Seattle Seahawks on the road to face Indianapolis Colts. Colts minus 2.5, and I think this is the biggest discrepancy on just the spread picks. Colts currently getting 17% of the picks, and
home favorite at 17%.
For me, that just screams contrarian play. So I'm going to take the Colts. The way I justify it after the fact is that there's probably a lot of people who thought Carson Wentz wasn't going to play. So, why not jump on the Seahawks? And I'm thinking the Colts, assuming the left tackle situation doesn't completely implode the offense, they should be able to run. The Seahawks defense, I don't think is really any better than 20th. And the fact that they have to go on the road, I'm not sure if the offense that we saw at the last quarter of the season, the way it struggled, not too much different from the way the Steelers struggled. Are we going to see an improvement there? Are they going to be able to actually play an offense that the defense isn't already figured out, as what Tyler Lockett described at the end of last year? So, Frank Reich, great coach. I feel like he's going to be very prepared coming into this game, and Colts will, even though they're favored, I feel like this is pulling the upset.
Does it matter to you that this line has moved 4 points?
So now it's Seahawks -2?
Seahawks -1.5.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense considering a lot of people thought, why would I take the Colts if Wentz is probably not going to play? Or if anything, playing on one foot.
Yeah, you can go ahead and take the Colts, who are now getting points as a favorite. I'm going to just roll with the Seahawks getting 2.5 points. I do, at this stage, the Seahawks are better than the Colts to me, especially if the Colts are going to roll out Jacob Eason, T.Y. Hilton, which I don't really know how big of a loss that is, but he's not going to be playing. They've got a problem at left tackle. They brought in Eric Fisher, who's recovering from an injury from the Chefs last year. His backup is now out. So I'm just going to roll with the Seahawks getting points. This feels like a little bit of a steal here. Actually, I'm just going to go ahead and lock the Seahawks.
To me, obviously that's the biggest kind of glaring hole. And Carson Wentz's health is probably number 2. But, yeah, I mean, if the Seahawks come in here and win by 20, I feel like it's going to be a large part of that. But
Will Carson Wentz be better than Phillip Rivers last year?
I don't think so. Do you?
Yeah. No. I believe this is going to be a big downgrade.
Overall, not that crazy about Wentz, but
I wish they had just traded up to number 11 and taken Justin Fields.
I mean, it looks like they would have been okay with Mac Jones, too.
I mean, that's fine, too. I just know that Carson Wentz is never the answer. No matter what the question is. Even if, is this guy Carson Wentz? It's not. The answer is not yes.
All right. Next game up. I think you already spoiled your pick for this one. Los Angeles Chargers on the road to face Washington, to be named. Washington currently +1.5. Home underdogs. Will we get a team name announced before this game?
I don't think so. I bet they write out the entire season as the Washington football team, and then in the off season, depending on how people feel, they'll either throw out their name, or if they have like a bad season, to in order to throw it off their if they're sitting there at 4-9, then they'll announce it.
That's all.
Just try to get them to talk about anything other than the product on the field. Having said that, I love Washington getting 1.5 in this game.
Oh,
please, you got the West Coast to East Coast to deal with. You've got a new Chargers regime. You got that nasty Washington defense. Please give me all the Washington.
If anything, I think this is going to be a sneaky great game. And I think
I don't think there's going to be a lot of people who disagree with you on that.
I think whoever comes out the loser, there's going to be value on them next week. So I think Chargers lose, Washington loses. They're probably going to come bounce back week 2 and win.
If they tie, is there value on both?
Probably not, because then people just think they don't know what to do with the tie. The tie just breaks the brain. It's just, why does this happen? Was it the Cardinals and the Lions last year? Absolutely nonsense.
That was week 2, I think, and the Lions just blew that game.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Chargers.
No surprise there. You have them going 17-0.
Yeah, very much a homer pick from somebody who's not from Los Angeles.
For longtime fans of the podcast, the Chargers are Lewis's Orlando Magic this year.
Look, I'm heavily influenced.
Although they do have a brighter future than the Orlando Magic did at that time. I guess still do. The Orlando Magic still have no future.
That was 1 year, 5 years ago that I was.
It was longer than that.
Sure. I'm just heavily influenced by Robert Mays, and he's always touting the Los Angeles Chargers. It's easy to get suckered in. I just want to buy the hype. And
this feels like the Browns 2 years ago.
You know, it might be. I just know I have a lot of Justin Herbert stock, and the ironic thing is that I really think Washington's going to have a fantastic season and win the NFC East, but I like the Chargers here. It almost feels like an upset, like you said, going West Coast to East Coast, but I think if this is the season that Herbert takes, granted, this is only his second season, but if he takes another level up, I think it'll be instantly noticeable against a defense like Washington's. So,
well, I mean, the old adage is a QB's biggest growth is between years 1 and 2. So, you got that working for you.
If Corey Lindsey's playing in this game, that's a massive, massive boost. If he's not, I might switch off to Washington because to me that's a big kind of component in the offensive play. So I'll keep an eye on that. But assuming he's playing, I'm on the Chargers. So we're on opposite sides there.
I do think this is the game of the week, actually.
Yeah.
As much as I don't really like Washington, I do think this is the game of the week.
Right. Hopefully it's on the local television. Next game up, a game that should not be on local television anywhere. The New York Jets on the road to face the Carolina Panthers. Panthers minus 4.5 home favorites. 74% on the Panthers. So a lot of spread picks on the Panthers. As I mentioned earlier, they're the fourth biggest bet favorite on the money line. So just a lot of love on the Panthers. And to me, makes a lot of sense. I came in initially, first looking at these lines 6 weeks ago, I thought this is going to be the ironic revenge game for the Jets, and they're going to completely make Darnold look like an idiot. The more the preseason went along, the more that you saw the injuries like Carl Lawson, and I realized the Jets are not going to have anything other than good defensive interior linemen, so they can probably stop the rushing game, a little bit of the rushing attack for the Panthers, but not much else. So I'm taking the Panthers. Christian McCaffrey's, back for this game. Got 3 solid receivers. This, to me, if there's ever a game to lock the Panthers, this would be it. So I hate doing it as a contrarian because everybody's just on it, but sometimes the public and sharps are just seeing what I'm seeing. Everybody's on the right side.
So is that an official lock of the Panthers?
Yeah, a lock. I think this is a blowout win.
So you said something that I don't think I've ever heard before. A team/franchise revenge game on the quarterback that they let go.
Yeah. That's why I said it's an ironic.
I was going to go the other way and say you forgot the biggest storyline, that it's Sam Darnold revenge game. And instead you went with it's a Jets revenge game versus Darnold.
Yeah. Fireman Ed's going to come in there and be flipping off Darnold, even though Darnold deserves probably none of that.
My first thought on this was that's a lot of points for the Panthers to be giving up. But then I remembered, oh, wait, it's the Jets.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to go ahead and take the Panthers. I don't want Zach Wilson in his first road start. I know that's come back to bite me several times in the history of this podcast, but Panthers with a lot of time to prepare here, and the Jets have been absolutely full-blown Zach Wilson since minute one. So they'll be fine. He's not going to sneak up on them. So give me the Panthers here. I just don't like the Jets.
Are you ready for the Darnold narratives that come out of this? And if they win by 20, it's like, oh wow, look, all he had to do was get away from Gase.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's certainly possible. We've seen everybody else flourish after getting the Gase stink washed off of them.
Yeah, Chris Herndon up next.
No.
All right, next game up. So we're both on the Panthers. Next game up, Jacksonville Jaguars on the road to face Houston Texans. Texans are plus 2.5 home underdogs, as they will probably be every single game this season. Texans, 27% of the picks on their side. Who do you like?
I'm going to lock the Jaguars. I think I'm going to lock the Texans opponent until otherwise noted. I don't see the point in taking this Texans team right now in week 1 with everything that's going on there, especially only as 2.5. If it was like 6.5, I'd think about it. I was trying to see if this line had shifted. I didn't see it before we started talking about it. It's just 3. So, Jaguars gonna come out and just wreck the Texans, maybe even kill the entire franchise.
Wow. This just like training camp, they're gonna try and shut down the season.
Well, just saying that the Jaguars at least have some talent and the Texans don't have any talent.
Here's the thing: is that this?
Oh my God, take the Texans!
I'm
taking
the Texans. But here's why. One, I'll just say that much like I did with the Jets last year with Gase, I'm probably going to bet against with the spread, whoever's playing the Texans. But the thing for me that has really shaken my confidence in the preseason is Urban Meyer may or may not be in over his head. I'm getting strong Nick Saban Miami Dolphins vibes.
You mean the guy who actually wasn't in over his head? That guy? I mean, you could at least say Petrino with the Falcons. That'd be way better. Saban was Drew Brees away from still being in the NFL.
Well, it worked out for him. I don't think he's complaining. But I think the thing for me is Trevor Lawrence's talent, which we've seen already in the preseason, is if you weren't convinced already, is incredible. Is that enough to overcome any inadequacies coaching by Urban Meyer, at least in week 1? And the thing for me is that, this is going to be maximum value probably on the Texans because you've had all offseason of nothing but trash and negative headlines about the Texans. So to me, they probably made this line as high as possible. Although, like you said, it's gotten up to 3. I'm going to take the Texans here and hope that value plays out and think maybe this is one of the teams that steals a win in week 1 to throw everybody off the stink, because that's what happens is you have these week 1s. Not only are you getting these upsets, but you're getting the teams that throw you off the stink for the entire season. So maybe that's the Lions, maybe that's the Texans, maybe it's both. But very well, either team could win one game and be like the Jaguars and lose 16 straight.
Well, here's the thing. How many teams in NFL history have lost 16 games, Lewis?
4.
Just one.
Just one?
Just the Lions.
Oh, okay. I thought it was a few more.
No. The Texans are on pace to be the second, and they could
on pace before week 1. Like they haven't even had a chance to go 0-8.
And they could be the first team to ever lose 17 games in a regular season.
Yeah.
This roster is very putrid, and if you want to back Tyrod Taylor and whatever this offense is supposed to be, go ahead. I'll take a big Jaguars victory. Like the Texans, the funny thing is that this is the one of the few games the Texans could be competitive in.
Yeah.
But it's if they don't win this game, they go at Cleveland, home for Carolina, at Buffalo, home for the Pats, at the Colts, at the Cardinals, home for the Rams, at the Dolphins.
Look, you could read me off any other team in the league that they play against. It's like loss. You don't 1-31.
Well, here's the thing though. Week 12, home for the Jets.
Now, see, I think by then, I think Zach Wilson's gonna have his stuff figured out.
All right, so you're buying into the Bob Saleh hype. That's fine.
I just think that's the thing for me is that the Texans, their best chance to win a game is going to probably be week 1. They have
it's too big of a mess.
Rookie coach, quarterback coming in.
No.
Look,
the rookie quarterback.
Yeah.
Tyrod Taylor ain't no rookie.
Yeah, I'm talking about Trevor Lawrence coming in.
Oh, Gotcha.
That's why
Okay,
it's
my
their
bad.
best chance.
No. Here's the thing. They need to get embarrassed on the field before they coalesce and somehow find a victory.
Fine. I need a documentary on how the Jets managed to pull together 2 wins last year, because the fact that team didn't just quit on Gase is somehow a miracle.
They definitely won in spite of themselves, and now they're dealing with Zach Wilson.
Oh, okay. Next game up, next matchup, the Cleveland Browns on the road to face the Kansas City Chiefs. This one, I know a lot of these have been fairly straightforward for me, but this one has been a complete mind effort. Cleveland Browns plus 5.5 at the Kansas City Chiefs. As I said, number one money line percent money on the Chiefs, 95%. 73% of the spread picks on ESPN's Pigskin Pick'em on the Chiefs minus 5.5. Who do you like?
Does the Andy Reid coming off a bye week corollary work here? How is Andy Reid in week ones?
I think he's won the last 2 at least.
Certainly Mahomes has never lost a week 1, so it's at least 3 straight. I feel bad for the Browns. Tough draw week 1 for the Browns. I think we're going to get a big Chiefs game. This is just a total gut feeling for me. I really like the Browns. I like everything they've done. I think I picked them in our AFC Totals podcast to go to the Super Bowl. But I think this is going to be a lot like, if that's going to happen for them, I think it's going to be a slow build like it was for the Bucs last year, who were kind of up and down for the first half of the season, had their bye week, and then torched everybody on their way to a title. So I'm going to take the Chiefs in this game. This is going to be the healthiest the Chiefs are all year. Are they really going to make a 3rd straight Super Bowl? We've only seen the Patriots do that over the last 20 years. So it's probably, other than the Patriots, has anybody made 3 Super Bowls since the Bills lost 4 straight?
Sure.
So I'm going to take the Chiefs here, just coming in healthy, ready to go. And then the Browns kind of figuring out new pieces. They'll get it together after this week.
Yeah, this is... I had my pick showing the Browns, but the more I thought about it, the more I'm in line with your thinking. I think this very much, I'm a big believer in the Browns, but I think this is almost the inverse of the upset game by one of the worst teams. I think the Browns lose this, but that kind of propels them forward as a springboard for them to, like, say, win six in a row. And so I think there's people going to be wanting to sell the hype on the Browns after this game, and I'm going to be willing to buy low on the Browns, and I'm sure we're going to get value. If they lose by 14 or whatever the case may be, I'm going to be right there buying the value for week 2. Of course, I think you said they're playing the Texans, so what is that, 13.5?
It's going to be tough.
Is 2.5 the lowest line that we're going to see on the Texans? Probably.
It has to be, right? Barring like the Jets starting Jimmy Clausen in that Week 12 game, probably.
Well, I mean, I'm just thinking back to the Jets last year. Almost every week it was never enough. It was 10.5 and just keep upping the spread because they couldn't cover.
That Texans team is going to be real bad. I just want the viewers to know that you're taking them.
Just week 1. That might be it.
I can't wait. Next week, you're just talking yourself into the Texans.
No way.
They stayed within 4 of the Jaguars.
Look, Tyrod Taylor has not been stabbed by a doctor yet, so he's got that going for him. Next game up, AFC East showdown. Miami Dolphins on the road to face New England Patriots. We've got the battle of the Bama quarterbacks, Tua versus Jack Moans. And New England Patriots minus 2.5.
Is that something you're trying to start?
No, I saw it. Somebody else made the joke.
Okay.
I thought it was
Did it have to do with, like, was it another, like, horrendous Bishop Sycamore joke because there's been zero good of those.
I think those have been funny, so maybe it's just your sense of humor.
There hasn't been a single good Bishop Sycamore joke, not one.
All right.
9,000 people made the Cam Newton's going to be Bishop Sycamore's quarterback joke. God, you guys, do better.
Maybe it's just the people you follow. What do you think?
No, because this was like here's a tweet for you. And I was like, this tweet is not for me.
Yeah.
Please stop this.
Maybe this is Twitter sees what your sense of humor is.
Look, it's not funny. Unless somebody can make it funny, it's not funny. You can't. It's a lot like the South Park Donald Trump problem. The actual story is hilarious. You can't make it funnier with your jokes because this actual story is too funny.
All right. Whatever.
All right. Too long. Sure. Too long. Gosh, this is the toughest one for me.
Really?
And it's mostly because I am still driving the Tua bandwagon, and I don't want to leave yet. And I think there's so many people who are trying to get me to leave and who are jumping off themselves. But there was just so much working against him last year. But now he's facing Bill Belichick in week 1 on the road. It's a problem. I love the under for this game. What could the under be, or the point total in this game
That's
be?
probably, 44? That's what the typically lower ones are. I'll
it's going to be somewhere around 45.
Yeah, it's 44.5.
Yeah. This game has just 17-14 written all over it. I'm going to just close my eyes and take the Patriots here. I love Tua. I want Tua to be great. I don't think this is the game for Tua to be great.
Look, you need to open your eyes, Kyle, because this is a fairly obvious pick. The Patriots are going to be at home. They're going to run the shit out of the ball. And I don't know if you remember, but the Dolphins, pretty sure, had one of the league's worst run defenses last year. And I'm not seeing anything to convince me that that's changed. Patriots come in here. This is the new era, Mac Jones. And the thing is, he's not even probably going to need to throw more than 15 times. This is going to be a very Vikings-type offense. I think they're just going to run the ball 35 times because they can. Run it up on the Dolphins. I'm still not sure where I am with Tua. People have made some compelling cases. I'm not there yet. And the thing is, they don't have Will Fuller for week 1. Jalen Waddle, it's his first game. And, of course, you've still got Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick, having weeks.
Say it. How do you say his name, Lou?
Bill. Masterminding the defense for week 1. And, all we can say about Andy Reid, good things. I just as much take Bill with a lot of time to prepare. So, weak offensive line for the Dolphins, strong front 7 for the Patriots. Just a lot of check boxes from me. I think this is not even close. I think it's like a 31-10 game.
Just for the record, the Dolphins they were the average rush defense last year. They were 16th in the league.
According to what?
Yards allowed.
Okay, but you got to look at like DVOA or...
Well, you said they just got ran all over, and that's really not true. They were 16th. I mean, they were just perfectly average rush defense.
All right. Well.
Look, I love Tua. This is going to be a lot like we just talked about with the Browns. Give me all the Tua and Dolphin stock after this game.
All right.
This is his own personal hell this week.
Yeah, and he'll much like the Browns. I think they'll come back and there'll be value for week 2. So
yeah.
I don't know who they're playing, but whatever. Next game up, Green Bay Packers on the road. Actually, do we know where this game's being played? They're playing the Saints, but they're not playing in New Orleans.
Correct. I don't think we know yet.
Tentatively, the Mississippi Rebel Coliseum.
So it looks like TIAA Bank Field, which is they're playing in Jacksonville.
Oh, no. Wait, is Florida really that? Florida's not much better off in the hurricane. That seems kind of nuts.
I don't think they really got hit, right?
All right.
Yeah.
Well, Houston's home, so that's out of the picture. But all right. Green Bay on the road in Jacksonville to play the Saints. Saints plus 2.5 home underdogs. I am taking the Packers with the biggest lock, just the fattest one you can find. It's just there's 84% of the picks are on the Packers, which really digs at my contrarian nature. But all offseason, the last 6 weeks,
You hate the Saints.
I just keep thinking the Packers, and I think you're very much in alignment. Pretty sneaky, good chance to make the Super Bowl. I think in terms of one last dance, Aaron Rodgers, of course, they had the top offense last year. Saints, I think the defense is going to be below average. Why would anybody trust Jameis? I know Sean Payton's probably going to maximize Jameis, but I'm just not seeing it. I think the Packers come in and steamroll the Saints, and we'll see Aaron Jones with 3 touchdowns.
So, you know how a lot of people argue that it's in a rookie quarterback's best interest to sit year one, just kind of learn.
Sure.
And then year 2, it's great. Well, Jameis kind of had his rookie season last year, right? Sitting, learning from Drew Brees and Sean Payton.
Plus the LASIK.
I was going to say, and he got LASIK. I hate that this game is not actually in New Orleans. That's what the deciding factor is for me here. I'll take the Packers in Jacksonville. But if this game was in New Orleans, I was looking at this, like last week, and I was like, oh, I love the Saints. But now they can't play in New Orleans, so give me the Packers. Neutral field, the Packers are better than the Saints.
So we're aligned on the Packers, but completely polarized on how we see the Saints.
Yeah, and we were in our NFC pod too. I think the Saints are a playoff team. You don't.
Right.
I like. Here's the thing. Can't believe I'm about to say this. Jameis Winston. So much talent. A lot of talent. 30 interceptions. Definitely not what you want. Definitely not what you want to see. But I think he's going to be better in New Orleans with Sean Payton. He sat last year. He learned. He didn't have that in Tampa. He was just immediately thrown in. He had some good moments. He had a lot of destructive moments. I think he's going to be good, and the Saints are going to be good. They still have a lot of top-end talent. Their depth is not there. If they have a lot of injuries, it's going to be a long year for them. But I do like the Saints. Certainly a lot more than you do.
I mean, the thing is, they have maybe one good, healthy receiver in Callaway. So you put Alexander on Callaway, take that away, and then you put 8 men in the box. What are the Saints going to do offensively?
No, I mean, it's Sean Payton. They're just going to figure it out.
Okay. Sure.
That's just how I feel. I mean, why can't they make some things happen with, they somehow get Kamara and Latavius Murray and Taysom Hill on the field all at the same time?
Yeah, this
is
going to
be a problem.
Voltron. They're not going to combine into one super player. They're each going to be separately not.
They have your boy Lil Jordan Humphrey, okay. Longhorn boy.
He might catch the balls.
It's a problem, but I like their defense with Cam Jordan and Marcus Davenport and Marshawn Lattimore. I really like their defense.
They don't have a second corner.
Few teams in the league have a second corner, Lewis. That's just a kind of a thing that's pervasive throughout the league. It's not really a minus if nobody has one.
All right. Okay.
So I know this is finally their salary cap hell year. And also, speaking of hell, what the hell with Michael Thomas? What is happening?
I don't know.
Okay.
Something you haven't brought up. Dark horse, Jameis for comeback player of the year?
No, there's a real obvious candidate out there. right that I
Christian
can't.
McCaffrey.
Yeah, there you go. He's going to touch the ball 500 times.
Yeah.
That's certainly Jameis could be the dark horse. He'll have the narrative, I think.
Yeah,
if
they
he's
make the
really good,
playoffs, for sure.
Yeah, I think he'll have the best narrative case. Like he'll be the guy who wins it, but probably shouldn't win it. But just because the writers fall in love with the narrative.
That's going to be a funny story. Next game up, the Denver Broncos on the road to face the New York Giants. Giants are +1.5 home underdogs. And this is another one where the total pick is really appealing to me because I think I would heavily lean on the under. I think, let me see, it's probably around 44. It's, 42.5. I still think...
What a duel they're expecting.
Probably not a lot of value in that, but I still think I'll take the under just because I think you have a top 3 defense in the Broncos and a top 14 defense in the Giants at minimum. So that's my number one play. But on top of that, who do you like?
You can have Daniel Jones against that defense if you want him. I am locking the Broncos and saying Daniel Jones is fumbling twice in this game. Good luck, Daniel. Good luck, Daniel Jones.
I would love to know what's the prop pick for Daniel Jones, because the thing is they're too healthy. Evan Ingram has an injury. We haven't seen Kadarius Toney all, through training camp, and just like Kenny Golladay. So they have Slayton and they have Sterling Shepard. And the thing is that the Broncos have, you just talked about nobody has a second corner. The Broncos have more corners than the Giants have wide receivers. So you could even double up on Shepard or Slayton, and I don't know how the Giants are going to move the ball.
That Giants offensive line is awful.
Yeah. Should we set the over-under on Daniel Jones turnovers at 2.5?
Look, we do this. We have week-to-week bets where we just throw out random bets for the week. I've got Daniel Jones 2+ fumbles. Not just turnovers, fumbles.
So you throw a pick in there? Gets to
if
3?
You want to, yeah. I'm just saying I've got Daniel Jones 2+ fumbles only.
I think we're on the same side with that because I think he gets to 3 turnovers.
Yeah. No, this is I throw out a random bet, you throw out a random bet, and see who's right.
Okay. Well,
then we have our side bets where we go against each other. Don't you remember how this podcast works?
No, it's been 9 months, almost. How long is the season? 4 months?
Nobody knows. It's 17 games. Nobody knows in terms of months.
Time is a flat circle. I'm on the Broncos as well. I just think Teddy Bridgewater will be smart with the ball, and that will be enough to get them in field goal position probably 6 times. So you're looking at a sharp 18-6 game here. If anything, if that point total was low, an alternative line of under 30.
It is low.
But what I'm saying is, if anything, I would take the alternative line and go under 30. It's just like really hammer home.
Oh boy,
the defenses are going to lock in.
All right. Well, don't watch that game. Anybody? No. Nobody watch that game.
I mean, the Packers Saints are on at the same time. Patriots Dolphins. Chiefs Browns.
Yeah, look, I'm sure the Browns Chiefs is probably the game that's going to be national outside of those home markets. So
right. All right, Sunday night game. Here we go. Chicago Bears on the road to
Why?
Vegas.
Why?
Because everybody loves some Andy Dalton in primetime. On the road to face the Los Angeles Rams. Rams here -6.5. I'm pretty sure this line is up to, what is it now?
I see it at 7.
Okay, that's probably right. It might be 7.5 in a couple places, but 7 seems safe. This, like a handful of other ones, the contrarian in me is just pulling too hard. So I'm taking the Bears +6.5. I think we've heard so much of the dominant narrative is the Bears' offensive line getting completely wrecked by the Defensive Player of the Year, and for good reason. We could be seeing an imploding pocket every single time, but I think that it's been so dominant that the thing is that it's almost too much. And it wouldn't shock me if the Bears, especially with Andy Dalton just being presumed to completely be trash in this game, if he comes out and flips a script and actually gets himself a few more weeks. So, what do you think about that?
I hate it. It's just how many more times do we have to see the Andy Dalton bandwagon? This has serious shades of Deshaun Watson's rookie year when it was like, no, we are absolutely playing. God, who was the starter for the Texans that year? No, it wasn't Schaub. Schaub was long gone. I want to say it was Tyler Thigpen, but I know that's not correct either. But that's what we're talking about. Like, Nagy refuses to back off of Andy Dalton is starting. Don't you guys ask me this question ever again. I'm going to find who this was. Gosh, it's killing me.
Tyrod Taylor.
There's just no reason to start Andy Dalton whatsoever. It's Tom Savage.
Oh,
that's who it was.
Macho Man.
That's awful. So that's what I feel like here is that it's like no. Dalton starting, and then Fields is going to actually start the second half, and it's going to be like, wow, they're so much better with Fields. Matt Nagy is an idiot. So
that would work for me. Though. If Fields comes in and lights it up in the second half.
Well, but here's the thing. Is like it's going to be he lights it up, but he's still going to like have some rookie mistakes. It's just that like I think the Texans in that game may have had negative yards at halftime. And then it was like, wow, Deshaun Watson gained 158 yards. This is great. I'm going with the Rams here. Please, get the Bears out of here. They were awful last year. They were the most fraudulent team that we had going for a long time. They're not any better whatsoever. Somehow Trubisky to Dalton is a downgrade, and they have a guy who would be a massive upgrade just sitting there.
I mean, I feel like you described one of the narratives that works in my favor, and I think the alternative is that Dalton surprises some people. Either way.
Well, but here's the thing is like they can't let Justin Fields go out behind that line against that defense.
Yeah, but the thing is that, okay, he gets the pocket collapses. He just immediately rolls out and scrambles for 8 to 10 yards. Again, keeps scrambling out and out and out. And it's just going to be enough. The thing for me that I'm still...
You're banking a lot on this Bears defense, which really hasn't done much the last couple of years.
Well, here, this is going to sound completely contradictory, and I will admit that. But part of the thing with these contrarian plays is you have to go upstream against what all of the perceptions are. And the thing is that this is the number 1% of money on the favorite at 92% currently of the money is on the Rams. And to me, it's just...
Well, I thought you said that the Chiefs were number 1 at 95%.
Sorry, that's the money line.
Okay, gotcha.
The Chiefs have 95% of the money line. Rams have 92%, which is number 1 on the actual spread side.
Gotcha.
And so for me, that just screams like prime time. If you get any of the parlays that hit during the day, they're going to roll over into this Rams one because this game's probably going to be thrown into a lot of parlays. And to me, this just screams upset. And I'm not saying like the Bears pull the win. I'm just saying backdoor cover, some sort of shenanigans. Not conspiracy shenanigans, but like
just have fun.
Play.
Have fun looking up, and there's 8 minutes to go in the game, and the Bears are down by 24, and they have like 3 points.
Look, that happens a lot. There's a lot of times when you do the heavy contrarian play, and it's like, why did I do that? That was completely idiotic.
Well, this is that time.
Yeah, well, especially because I'm with you. I'm very skeptical about the Bears defense. I think losing Kyle Fuller and Eddie Jackson's gone, right?
I don't think so.
Or is
He's not gone.
He has not been as good. He's been actually, average since Fangio left. So the thing for me is this Bears defense is maybe average. So you're probably looking at a couple of Deshaun Jackson long touchdowns, but I still think the Rams, they have a few studs on defense, but they might be average in the relative sense because that's all they have. They have studs and they have duds elsewhere. So just banking on the back door.
I can't wait to be texting you about this.
Sure. Well, it wouldn't be the first time.
Yeah.
And then alternatively, whenever the Bears are winning, you're like, what the hell? Last game of the weekend, Monday night, Baltimore Ravens on the road to face Las Vegas Raiders. Raiders are plus 4.5 home underdogs. And I believe this is the actual first home game they have?
Yes. Well, the first one with fans.
Right. That's what I meant. Sorry.
It's okay.
That's
why I'm here.
31% of the picks on the Raiders, so not a lot of people backing the Raiders. Who do you like?
I like the Raiders. Give
Really?
me the primetime home underdog of 4.5 points. The Ravens were a sort of undercover mess last year. Offensively, for sure. The defense is great. I expect the defense to be still pretty good, even though they've lost some guys. But there's just something weird about the Raiders on Monday Night Football in Week 1. We've seen it in a lot of years past, where it's just all of a sudden it's like, oh, the Raiders. And then the next week we're like, oh, the Raiders.
No, last year against the Saints, they pulled off that upset.
Yeah, so I think that's where we're headed. I really like getting a home underdog in primetime in Week 1 of 4.5. The Ravens are going to be fine, but give me the Raiders for this week. Yeah. Pure number play for me.
This is probably not too different from the Bears, where everything in my head is screaming, don't touch the Bears, don't touch the Raiders. The defense is not going to be good. In the offense, question marks. And the other team, by all accounts, will have a better season. But I'm with you there. Something about the way the Raiders played at the early part of last season, the fact you're talking East Coast to West Coast, the fact that the Ravens just lost J.K. Dobbins, the fact that they have, maybe one healthy starting wide receiver, Sammy Watkins possibly, because Marquise Brown has been injured, Rashad Bateman's out from a surgery. Who's the other one? You talk about Duvernay or there was a couple other wide receivers you mentioned the other day in a text.
Brown?
No, besides Brown.
He finally is back on.
Okay,
back in practice.
Maybe he plays, but the thing is for me is that I'm just how can I say this? To me, it's a little bit too much, and I've reached the tipping point where I think it really is going to affect the team. So I think Lamar Jackson could have a monster game running, but I think the Raiders definitely keep it close.
All right. Glad we agree on that one.
Okay. Review our locks.
Yeah. I've got the Seahawks, Jaguars, Broncos. You've got the Lions, Panthers, and Packers. Thursday night, which we keep track of because we're notoriously terrible, we both have the Buccaneers. Our dog of 3.5 or more to win outright, you've got the Lions. I had to go back through here. My choices were either the Steelers, Bengals, or Raiders. I'm going to take the Bengals.
All right.
Highest scoring team, who you got?
Let me take... Who was I just talking of? Let me take the Packers.
Okay, I'm going to take the Bucks.
Yeah.
And then I need to do the math to figure out when we start eliminating teams, but I know it's not this week.
Isn't that halfway through the season? You've got 8 weeks.
Well, but now we have 17 games, so there's different things going on. I need to do the math. I did not do the math. I apologize for not being
I
totally
can assure
ready.
You probably have a few weeks. So.
Yeah.
I'll take the
week-to-week bets. Random week-to-week bets. I have Daniel Jones 2+ fumbles. What's yours?
It's such a. I want that one. I mean, it would easily be to say over 4.5 field goals for that game, but I don't want to pick the same game. Uh, um, here you'll love this. Jared Goff, 3 passing touchdowns.
Okay. Look at you.
Are we supposed to go that bold in bonkers?
It doesn't matter. You
Okay.
just say whatever you want.
Okay. Kirk Cousins has COVID.
3+ passing touchdowns. Ooh, that's probably not happening. He's going to be out there in a plexiglass box.
Yeah.
All right, so that's week 1 on video.
Yeah. See how this comes out.
We did it.
Yeah, might have to tweak the format depending on how this works for.
I'll have better lighting. I couldn't find my ring light. I had to do a little bit of improvisation here.
All right. Well, whatever works for you. Just, I'm sure everybody's enjoying the disorganized nature of my closet, but it's the best I could do last minute. I got moved out of the studio.
Well, that's what happens.
Yeah. Anything else? Eliminator?
Oh,
Did we do that?
I forgot who I had. I'm gonna have to.
I'm taking
look
the
that up.
Packers.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk as many people out of the 49ers as possible.
Well, okay. Well, that's not. That has nothing to do with the Packers.
I know. I'm doing a social good.
Gotcha. Let's see. Is it gonna let me? I don't remember who I had. This is a tough week for Eliminator. I'm gonna see if I can.
You have every team to pick from. This is the easiest week.
Yeah, but there's just not an easy matchup.
It gets difficult in week 12 when you're picking between the Dolphins and the Saints.
I think I have Carolina.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Zach Wilson ready to shock everybody.
We'll see.
All right. I guess we'll get out of here. You can email us at 3pointplaypodcast@gmail.com. Of course, now you can see down below, subscribe, rate the video, and tell a friend. Hit that like button. Appreciate it. And then other than that, you can find us on Twitter.
What?
I'm at...
Ring the bell or something like that. That's the thing, right, on YouTube? Ring the bell?
Sure.
Okay.
To subscribe? Is that what you... Notifications?
I think I didn't mean to do this to you. That tells you like when we've posted a new video if you ring the bell.
And the goal is to have them up Wednesday of every week, so we have plenty of time before the Thursday night game. Other than that, you can find me on Twitter at TPPSweetLou, Kyle at KVerska7, and yeah. Other than that, anything else you want to add?
No, sir. It's good to be back.